Hello, hi. I can't see you anymore, but hopefully you can hear me. I'd like to pick up on something that Mr. Merz said about the war in Iran. And being here with Russia as the sort of intended enemy, I'm wondering if you could share your thoughts about what the war in Iran and the easing of the oil sanctions against Russia, what will that have to say for the war in Ukraine? What will be the implications? So, thank you.
Well, let me start by saying that we are entering the 5th year of a full-scale aggression from Russia against Ukraine, and Ukraine has had to live with events beyond Ukraine taking attention away from this completely unacceptable situation they are in. So the first thing is that when there is dramatic things happening elsewhere, there is less attention on keeping pressure on Russia, supporting Ukraine's defense. The 3 countries standing here are consistent in supporting Ukraine, even if the focus may be somewhere else. In fact, we have from Norway and Germany, I think, will be the major providers of support, and also from Canada to Ukraine's ongoing efforts. And it's our view, and I speak for Norway now, and I think we share that view, that there needs to be more pressure on Russia to stop this unacceptable war. And from my perspective, I think that there should be no pressure on the energy side taken off Russia. It needs to be consistent, and it needs to be felt from the Russian side so that they will come to the negotiation table, accept the ceasefire, and accept a just and durable peace.
Well, I fully agree with what Prime Minister Støre just said. As you all know, we had a video conference with the G7 leaders on Wednesday, and 6 out of 7 were clearly the opinion that we should not release the sanctions against Russia. And we were a little bit surprised that we heard this morning that the American government decided differently. This is definitely not our view. We are sharing the 6 out of 7 that this should be not the case because Russia is benefiting from that, and we are seeing this into the right different direction. We should put more pressure on Russia to bring this terrible war to an end as soon as possible, and that's the reason why we are having a different view on this decision, which was obviously taken in D.C. last night.
Yes. I'll just reinforce that. Entirely agree. Canada's position is to maintain sanctions on Russia, maintain sanctions, including on the Shadow Fleet, which is moving this oil. There has been very tight cooperation between Russia and Iran at great cost to the people of Ukraine, and a great threat to peace and security in Europe. And this group, under the leadership of the 2 gentlemen to my right, and a broader coalition of the willing, has stood up to that. In providing the framework for security guarantees, stood up to that in terms of providing support and training and materiel to Ukraine. All of us have contributed considerably to the defense of Ukraine, stood up to it in terms of sanctions, which we stand by, and will continue to do so.
The next question is from Catherine Tunney, CBC.
Okay, we're gonna check. On va faire un petit changement. Ce sera Valérie Gamache de Radio-Canada. Monsieur Carney, d'abord, si vous pouviez répéter en français ce que vous venez de dire sur la position du Canada par rapport à la levée des sanctions américaines contre le pétrole russe. Et ensuite, si on pouvait vous entendre, can you answer the question? Will it be any G7 meeting discussing the American decision? And is any one of you has the intention to talk to Donald Trump about his decision, trying to maybe convince him to back up on it?
OK. Je vais commencer. En ce qui concerne les sanctions canadiennes contre la Russie, on va les garder. C'est clair, c'est simple. Et la situation demeure la même. C'est la faute de la Russie, cette guerre horrible en Ukraine, et c'est la position du Canada de soutenir l'Ukraine tout le temps. C'est pas le moment d'enlever la pression sur la Russie, surtout parce que la Russie et l'Iran sont des grands alliés. Ok. Alors, au fond, j'espère que ça suffit. In terms of a G7 meeting, I'm sure there will be additional G7 meetings. The convening of those meetings is the responsibility of the presidency. We all have direct lines into the president, and we'll use them. There is value in having broader G7 discussions. I'll make a final point with the countries of the GCC, who have shown enormous restraint and heroism, I might add, in terms of their response to the ceaseless attacks by Iran on them, particularly on civilians and civilian infrastructure.
So, Chancellor, will you ask a meeting to President Macron about the American decision?
Well, we will have the opportunity to speak with each other over the weekend, and we will check what we can do. And I'm totally agreeing with what Mark Carney said about the sanctions, and this is our view, and this is shared by most of the G7 members, and we will figure out what we can do to keep them ongoing and to increase them instead of releasing them.